In a previous episode, I mentioned a high-flying kite. What exactly did I mean by that? We're going to dive into that in this episode.
Welcome to the Abundance Hack Show, Season 4, where we are focusing on mastery. The last 3 seasons, I gave you the information. Now, we're focusing on integrating it into our lives and embodying it. If you are ready to master your thoughts, emotions, and patterns to feel whole, fulfilled, and really grounded in who you are without dimming your shine so you can live the abundant life that you truly desire, then you are in the right place.
Hey M&Ms, thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. What are you manifesting in your life today? What are you manifesting? What do you truly desire? What sets your soul on fire? What feels really yummy to you? I think we spend more time than we should on things that we don't want and we don't like and that don't feel good to us and don't feel good to our nervous systems. And we need to spend more time on things that do feel good and get used to those good feelings, get used to those yummy moments so we can draw more of them into our lives. I actually had something really yummy happen today, which this is not what this episode is about, so I'm not going to talk about it, but hopefully soon I will have some really exciting news. But what we're going to talk about today, it's a high-flying kite. And it goes into that law of attraction. We're going to talk about law of attraction today. So I mentioned in a previous episode a high-flying kite, and I think I touched briefly on what I meant by that. So if you have listened to Abraham Hicks, she mentions a high-flying disc. And if you know me, you know I love Brene Brown, I love Teal Swan, and I love Abraham Hicks. Like, these are my people. These are my people. However, I want to dive into what she means by a high-flying disc and what I mean by a high-flying kite. So this is not to say there's anything wrong with a high-flying disc, because I do love Abraham, so this isn't a high-flying kite is better than a high-flying disc. This is a yes and situation. So what Abraham means by a high-flying disc is living in alignment and keeping your vibration high. So totally agree. I'm all about alignment, obviously, abundance and alignment, you know. And then I'm also about keeping vibrations high. However, this is the yes and. There's another step of complete self-acceptance, because the reality is we can't be high vibe all the time. It's just not reality. Like, the world just went through a pandemic. You couldn't be high vibe the whole time through a pandemic. And then there's things in life that are unavoidable, like grief. People don't live forever. Fur babies don't live forever. So you're going to experience things in life that take you out of your high vibe. And so trying to force yourself to keep high vibrations all the time in the midst of hard feelings actually creates internal chaos. So to me, what a high-flying kite means, and I just said this in a previous episode just kind of on the fly, but I was like, this is actually good. So I'm all about the high-flying disc, and the next step in my book is a high-flying kite, meaning you are standing your sacred ground. You are grounded in your confidence. You are grounded in your values. So when I say stand your sacred ground, not puffing up and being an ego, not shrinking for the comfort of others, but standing your sacred ground and having complete self-acceptance. So even if you're not super high vibe, you're still accepting of yourself and honoring what you truly feel. So it's not always about just keeping your vibrations high, because you can't always keep them high. It's also accepting exactly where you are and knowing that's exactly where you're meant to be. So I think that self-help and the law of attraction is amazing. You know, obviously the self-help industry has helped a lot of people, and law of attraction is real, it's a thing. But I think that some people have taken it out of context and taken it too far. That swinging pendulum, they swung way too far on one end, and they feel like they have to always keep their vibrations high. And when they don't, it creates shame. It creates guilt. It creates denial and suppression, disassociation, disconnecting. It creates isolation. And so these are all things that are a result of someone feeling like they have to always think positive. And if I think anything other than positive thoughts, there's something wrong with me. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But the reality is we have a lot of emotion and feelings. We are dynamic beings that are capable of a wide range of emotions and feelings, and suppressing them and denying them is not healthy. So to me, when people feel like they can only be high vibe and they can only think positive thoughts, this actually breeds self-righteousness. And I am watching Brene Brown's special on HBO. So if you have not read a Brene Brown book, like, what are you doing with your life? As I said, like, I love Brene Brown, I love Abraham Hicks, I love Teal Swan. They are my people. So Brene Brown has a special out called Atlas of the Heart. So her most recent book in the time of me recording this is Atlas of the Heart. And she created a 5-episode special that is breaking down Atlas of the Heart. And in Atlas of the Heart, she says, according to researchers, self-righteousness is the conviction that one's belief and behaviors are the most correct. So if you subscribe to the belief that you can only think positive thoughts and you have to keep your vibrations high, anything other than that is wrong. And if you are telling yourself subconsciously that you are wrong every time you think something other than a positive thought, that creates internal chaos. And that is why so many people are in massive states of anxiety, depression. I mean, the list goes on, and we're numbing because we're numbing the thoughts that are anything other than positive. We're scrolling on social media to completely disconnect to what we're actually feeling in our bodies, what we're actually feeling in our hearts. And so I think it's really important for us to be aware of this. While I love Abraham Hicks and I'm all about a high flying disc, I think there's another step that they're not talking about, and that is complete self-acceptance. So if I wake up tomorrow and I'm just like, you know what, like, I'm not feeling this today, whatever this is. It could be whatever, you know, people go through different phases in life, not feeling like, oh, I have to hide this feeling and I have to put my best foot forward and pretend that life is amazing. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be moments where life is amazing. Like, I had an amazing day today. And it's also important that we honor the days that aren't amazing. So that high flying kite isn't pretending that everything is amazing. It is grounded confidence. It is standing your sacred ground, not puffing up, not shrinking, and complete self-acceptance. So however I feel today is how I am meant to feel. Do I want to stay in a negative space long? Absolutely not. Not saying that. I am not saying that. I'm saying that whatever you're feeling is valid, and honor it and peel some layers back to understand it. And then ask yourself, is this serving me? And if it's not, then release it, and release it in a healthy manner. So I think that that is what's important. And just touching on the self-righteousness. So in Atlas of the Heart, there was a really great quote. The self-righteous screams judgment against others to hide the noise of skeletons dancing in their own closets. So we definitely judge other people. We live in a society of social media. Like, people judge all day. We're looking at other people's lives and businesses and outfits and bodies on social media. So of course people are judging. Like, that's just the reality of the society that we live in. But what I want to focus on is self-judgment. Self-judgment, because if you subscribe to the belief that you can only think positive thoughts. Positive thoughts only. When you think something that's not positive, you're judging yourself. You're judging yourself. And self-judgment and self-criticism, that is internal chaos that will grow and fester into shame, into guilt, into embarrassment, and eventually into isolation. And isolation is the number one mental health risk, not just for entrepreneurs, but for everyone. And so many people are feeling isolated right now because we've been programmed to think that we have to keep high vibrations. And if I don't have a high vibration, I can't be around these people. I can't talk about what I'm experiencing or what I'm going through. Now, obviously, there are people out there who are on a rant and they're, having a pity party. Those are people that probably don't listen to my podcast. Let's just be real. Let's just be real. So pity parties are not okay. So complaining is not okay. I'm not about that life. When it comes to complaining, so to me, the difference in, so I'm a verbal processor. The difference in verbally processing what you have going on versus complaining or emotionally dumping is when there's no solution at the end. So if you're just like, oh, woe is me, life sucks, wah, 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 and there's no solution, there's no accountability, there's no step process of how you're going to change the situation, shift the situation, shift your perspective of the situation. If there's no solution, that's just complaining. And I'm not about that life. I'm not about a pity party. I'm not an enabler. I will tell you that up front. So to me, I feel like, look, this is probably why I don't have a lot of friends. But to me, if you come to me with a problem, while with Brene Brown's help, I can hold space for that and not try to fix it. But I am going to hope that you have some type of solution, even if it's just, you know what, I'm not gonna think about this or talk about this anymore, and I'm just gonna go with the flow or trust the universe, trust the process, trust the journey. So maybe it's not always about having the answer, because we don't always have the answer, but it's about choosing a perspective after you've honored, choosing a positive perspective after you've honored how you actually felt. So do you hear the slight nuance in that? So saying positive thoughts only will make you feel like something's wrong or bad if you feel anything other than positive thoughts. And we have to have self-acceptance. We have to honor how we're feeling, because our feelings and emotions are valid. And we also have to choose to shift out of that negative space when it's not serving us. So it's that slight nuance. So yes, high flying disc, be in alignment, keep your vibes high. However, when your vibe isn't high, honor it and have complete self-acceptance and share how you're feeling, verbally process how you're feeling, and also be open to divine guidance to shift you out of that space that is considered undesirable because it's not high vibe. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. So it's these slight nuances that I feel like people skip over certain steps. So we don't want a pity party. We don't want complaining. We don't want emotional dumping. We want to be in alignment. And how do you be in alignment? Honoring who you are. That's that grounded confidence. And how do you know who you are? Establish your values. Establish what's important to you. And live by that. So once you establish your top 3 values and what's really important to you, then every day, are you living in alignment with that? And are you working towards the things that you truly desire? So getting clear on what you truly desire. And I feel like I haven't said this in a long time. I used to say this all the time in the beginning days of me starting this podcast. When you ask yourself what you desire, I always recommend asking 3 times, because there's layers to it. There's a layer of what you feel like you should desire. Usually this is from our parents. So our parents, want us to be doctors. And so if we want to be a singer, we feel like well, I can't be a singer because I have to be a doctor. And so there's a layer of what you feel like you should want. There's a layer of what society says you should want. Society leads you towards the American dream. Go to college, meet a partner, get married, have a baby, buy a house with a white picket fence and a dog, and buy a minivan. You know what I mean? Like, society programs us to want certain things. And then the third layer is what you feel you deserve, what you feel you're worthy of. And our self-worth and our confidence sits in our solar plexus. And if you don't have an aligned solar plexus, you may not feel like you deserve the things that you truly desire. So you lower the bar because it seems more attainable and it seems more your speed. I feel like some people think like, you know, like if a guy is like, oh, this woman is out of my league, rather than him stepping up his game, he's just like, she's out of my league, and he just goes and finds something less. And people do that, and it's a silly example, but people do that in life. They do it with jobs, they do it with houses. And I am someone, and I am becoming unapologetic about this. So I've always been someone that's like, don't settle, like, go for the big goal. And throughout the years, I realized that my encouragement has been taken as me feeling like someone isn't good enough. Like, people who are not ready to step into the best version of themselves has felt like me being like, don't settle, like, you're worthy of so much more. They've taken that as, well, you're saying like who I am today isn't good enough, which is obviously not what I'm saying, obviously, but it's like that perspective literally is everything. So the glass is half empty, the glass is half full. Like, you know, everyone's gonna have different perspectives of like the same thing. And I've just had to accept, like, this is the person that I am. I want to see people thriving. I want to see people living their best life. I want to see people achieving more than they ever thought that they could. I want to see them experiencing massive amounts of joy and creativity and love and yumminess. And you don't do that by settling. And you don't do it by judging yourself or having any self-righteousness. So judging yourself or judging others, that's not how you achieve massive abundance of joy. And so I think that in the self-help industry and the law of attraction industry, a lot of things can be misconstrued and taken out of context. Like, I understand what Abraham is saying, and I agree 100%. And there's some steps that I think that are very, 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 very important that I am using my voice and my platform to address, like self-acceptance. So having that grounded confidence and complete self-acceptance, even if you're not only thinking positive thoughts, like whatever you're thinking. And here's another thing I just want to add to this, like with women in rage. So society tells us, you know, to suppress our rage. If a woman gets upset, she's a bitch. If a woman gets upset, like, and don't let her be black, she's an angry black woman. If a woman gets upset, she's bitter. And so we have been suppressing so much of how we feel that we start to judge ourselves like, this is not okay. And I catch myself like, oh, this isn't ladylike. And like, no one could be around, but it's that programming that causes me to judge my own actions and my own feelings and my own emotions. And so I think that having a healthy outlet for things like rage and anger, because let's be real, everyone experiences rage and anger. And I see all these posts online of like mindfulness where it's like, nothing bothers me. Let's be real, something is going to bother you. You know, we just went through a pandemic. Like, if nothing bothers you, you're so detached from reality. And we're not here to be in another realm to where nothing phases us. We're here to experience a human experience on this earth. So, human experience, feelings and emotions. And so we're not trying to achieve this like, nothing bothers me, like state where we're not impacted by anything. Like, what is the purpose of living? Like, we're here in this human experience to feel the wide variety of feelings and emotions that we are capable of as humans. We are dynamic beings capable of a wide variety of emotions. So you don't know deep love until you've known like deep pain, and like the pain, and then falling in love again and never thinking you could love again after that. Like, those are things that make the human experience exciting. Not the pain part necessarily, but like, you know, we signed up for this. Like, no one lives forever. People don't live forever. Fur babies don't live forever. Cars don't live forever. Like, let's be real. So we signed up for this human experience. So why try to take the humanness out of it by not trying to feel anything? Like we have to feel it and not judge ourselves if we're not always high vibe, because that's not reality. That's not a human experience. And they're trying to take the humanness out of humaning. You know, we're human beings, not human thinkings. Like we're human beings, and we have to give ourselves permission to be, and stop trying to change it, shift it, and like criticize ourselves out of thinking anything other than positive thoughts. Okay, rant over. But if you haven't checked out Brené Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart, or her show on HBO, her 5-episode special from Atlas of the Heart. So again, at the time of me recording this, Atlas of the Heart is Brené Brown's most recent book, and it is amazing. It's giving us language to explain all of the complex feelings that society has basically told us is not okay to feel. And it's powerful. It's really powerful, because the thing that connects us a lot of times is language and verbiage, and being able to express ourselves to each other is the thing that really deepens connection. Because we can connect on like a physical level, and you can give a hug without actually saying any verbal words, but if it's reinforced with language, it's powerful. It really is. It's powerful. So I'm a huge fan of Brené Brown. I think that she is changing lives. She's made such an impact in my life, and some of the things that I've learned from her. I actually thought about doing an episode like teachings from Brené Brown, but I want to really sit with like maybe my top 5 takeaways from her. And it's going to be a powerful episode. So I want to give some thought to it and actually have notes, and not just, you know, blab out the thing that's on the top of my mind, which sometimes, you know, those are great episodes as well, like this one. But I really want to sit with like her most powerful lessons that I've learned from her thus far. And she's just getting started. So I know that there's going to be a lot more to learn from her. And I hope to create books and podcast episodes that are just as powerful in helping people realize that there are more options than what programming has led us to believe. Like, you have to be this way or this way, you know, with men, like, suck it up and be a man, but sucking up your feelings and suppressing them and denying them and pretending they're not there and puffing out your chest is not the only way to be a man, quote unquote. So really starting the dialogue on these difficult conversations and being willing to be that disruptor that's like, yeah, I love Abraham Hicks and I'm all about a high flying disc and keeping your vibrations high. And we also have to remember self-acceptance, and we have to remember self-compassion. And people don't typically talk about self-judgment and self-criticism and the internal chaos that it creates. And that's why, like I said, I'm using my platform to start these conversations, because it's definitely something that we need to talk about. It's definitely something we need to talk about. So I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this episode and your thoughts on a high flying kite. And how often are you on a high flying kite? And when you find yourself judging yourself, criticizing yourself, suppressing what you're feeling, suppressing what you have going on in your body, not listening to your body, not listening to your intuition, I want you to pause, breathe into your body to connect to your body again, and ask yourself, how can I get on a high flying kite? And to me, a high flying kite is being grounded in your confidence, grounded in your values, and having complete self-acceptance. Giving yourself permission to be. Whatever that looks like. If you're mad, if you're angry, if you're happy, if you're ecstatic, if you're horny, whatever it is, giving yourself permission to be exactly what and who you are. And we need more of that. We need more of that. People just like, this is me and I'm gonna own it. And maybe in 10 minutes you decide, actually, I wanna be better because I don't like when I get angry, but you give yourself time to honor and accept that anger and then choose to move past it. So it's a slight nuance, but it's an important nuance. So important. All right, you guys. I hope you found value in this. If you know someone that needs to hear this message, definitely share this podcast episode with them. Let me know what you think. I love hearing from you on Instagram. You can message me at Niajae, Niajae. And until next time, be decadent.
Thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. I would love to hear from you. Leave your comments and questions, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our yummy episodes. Every time you leave a 5-star rating or review, I do my happy dance.